Good morning and happy Sunday, August 24th, 2025. Welcome to another episode of Tech Stack Reimagined, building the ultimate AI-powered workspace with Chris and Nico. Nico shaking his head already. It's going to be a spicy one today, folks. Welcome.
Welcome. Sunday. It's time to throw down the bloodbath on Wall Street. It's been happening since like mid last year, and I'm just fucking tired of it now. Ever since this shit has been going on ever since Goldman Sachs decided to lie to everybody's fucking face and say like, oh no, AI is for shit. Nobody's getting anything, like it's too much spend, not enough return. The same day that Goldman rolls out its AI tool company wide, it releases a story about how AI is bullshit. Do you see what's going on here? Like these guys all caught up like a year and a half too late. Okay. They tried to crash NVIDIA to get back in on it. Notice that they waited until it was only after the split. You notice that? It was only after the split that they tried to tank the stock, because then it would have been even cheaper to pick up, right? Yeah, why not before the split? If it was such bullshit, why didn't it tank before the split? Right, okay, so they try to get in on that, they can't. So now there's a bunch of guys who are supposedly overvaluating Palantir. Okay. And the PE ratio is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Palantir could never possibly make that kind of money. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars, or like $2 trillion or something like that. NVIDIA's at almost $5 trillion cap. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like these companies they're not like going away. They're not going down. They're not ever going to lose value. Like that's just not the way that it works. Right? Stock price on NVIDIA was $100 at the beginning of the year. It's $177 now. Yeah, that's right. It's almost, if you put, it's double, right? So market cap will be, I'm sure they will hit 200 by the end of the year. That means NVIDIA market cap is $6 trillion. Most valuable company in the history of companies. Right? Now, what does that mean for Palantir? Palantir, it runs on NVIDIA, right? At the same time, they are the only at the moment, right? I shouldn't say the only, but they are the number one and the largest, and they were there first in terms of getting their technology with regards to military tech. Not going to get into it because I don't like military shit, but it is what it is. They got into it. They got the contracts. They got there first. They're not going anywhere. So long as U.S. military is in play, Palantir's not going anywhere. The value's not going away. It will only ever hit whatever the PE ratio is expected to hit. Okay. So Sam Altman gets into an interview just before GPT-5 releases, but the interview doesn't release until after GPT-5. No big deal there. It is what it is. Release dates are what they are. You got to edit video. Video comes out. A question goes over to Sam about the whole Palantir situation, about AI valuations, whether or not he thinks they're overvalued. Sam answers the question and says basically that, hey, look, this is just like most technology booms where everybody's excited. And because everybody's excited, yeah, there's a little additional excitement than normal. But at the same time, which is what keeps getting left out of that quote, at the same time, the technology is also very exciting and is also moving in an exciting pace. So there is reason to be excited. Like the monumental shifts forward that we have seen, you can try to ignore it all you want. Really, like you try your best to ignore it all you want. There are tons of software platforms being developed that cost like next to nothing, that dwarf and like stand right up next to platforms that have been around for decades. And it's all because somebody had a, like, when everybody says like, oh, it's not possible and that's not going to happen and all this kind of stuff. When you think about it, you only have so many options when it comes to major software, even when it comes to like small businesses and stuff. Think about accounting, QuickBooks, right out the gate. Who's next? I don't know. Somebody, I don't know, Marketo, someone. I'm sure there's somebody.
Oracle, right?
Oracle, okay,
SAP.
right? Yeah. Okay, so do all of those cater to every single plumber, electrician, baker, homemaker, cleaning service, whatever it might be? No, they don't. Do they have all of the tools that all of those things need? No. Are they ever going to? No, because they're too busy trying to service everybody. But now it's actually possible for anyone to start their own version, and you will satisfy the niche because there are just people out there who don't want to do it. I guarantee you, even though the capability is there for everyone to be able to do this, just like normal, which is part of balance, there are people who just don't want to. And those people are going to be your customers. Okay. In business, like the more that these reports start to come out, like if this stuff was horseshit, you know where you'd hear it from? You'd hear it from banks. That's who would tell you it's horseshit. The guys who make the most money. It's not Wall Street. It's not the investor. They get their money from the banks, right? If Jamie Dimon isn't saying, wow, we're not seeing the return on AI, we wasted all of our time and money, then it's not bullshit. That's really like, that's how easy it is to tell if, when it comes to like the financial analysts and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so then like, where does it go from here? So Sam makes that statement. A couple days later, the brainiacs of the brain. I used to hold you guys in such high regard, but I knew when you let TED Talks kind of slip by the wayside, I knew something was coming. Like, it'd only be so long. And then Boston Dynamics just got the shit kicked out of them by Figure. And it's like, well, it's like you guys weren't even making robots in the first place, basically. Like, now your stuff sucks. I just watched your robot like fumble with its claws, fumbling to like put stuff from one bin to another, right? Meanwhile, I'm watching Figure fold laundry. What are you even bothering to work on Atlas for now? What's the point, guys? Like, I don't even know. Anyway, so you put out this ridiculous ass report that, I mean, and let me, so they put out this report, and the headline on this report, which is just, blew, like everybody took it and ran with it. I don't know why. I want to say because it's a white knight thing. Everybody hates when something does extremely good, and they want to see it do bad so that they can bring it down to their level. And all of a sudden, oh, AI is not that good. Yeah, see, it is all hype, right? That's what everybody wants right now. You got to understand that everybody wants this to not be as good as it is, and they're wrong. I don't care how difficult it is to swallow that. I don't care how hard it is to believe it. I don't care how much you want to sit there and say it can't make the same decisions that I can, and it can't think on the same wavelength that I can, and it can't do the same math that I can, and it can't do the same whatever the thing is that you think you can do. It's over. It's over. Just let it go. After December, it's over. It's over now if you use this stuff, but it's definitely over after December. For sure. Like, you will not be able to use a version of AI after December and say like, oh yeah, it's stupid. You're not going to get the mistakes anymore. We're at the point where we have AI that can generate real-time 3D environments that have like actual gravity, reflections, rain, physics, real time.
That's the thing.
Like,
that's the thing, man. Like, even the idea that we need to get to a point where it doesn't make mistakes anymore, like, no, it's already good enough. In most use cases, the mistakes are being made by human beings, not AI. Right?
Yeah.
And just gonna pull up this helpful summary from Claude here. Um,
Sorry, I've been reading about
and
this all morning and looking into it, and I just want to say real quick, the MIT study that got put out got buried so fast after it got put out, because
yeah,
I'm sure that two people caught wind of it and called him back and said, you better not. You should probably put this as far down as you possibly can, and I'll let you know why. Go ahead.
yeah. And if you prefer maybe a less passionate, more black and white report than we can possibly give you today, check out, like, thanks to the AI Daily Brief. Like, this is a brilliant breakdown that he did
Mm,
yesterday about going into why maybe not the best report to rely on to understand the success of AI. So definitely check that episode out. But basically, what we're talking about, MIT study based on 150 interviews and a survey of 350 employees, and analysis of 300 public AI deployments, right? Suggesting that despite billions in investment, about 5% of AI pilot programs achieve rapid revenue. Now, I'm not saying anybody needs, hopefully, we can help you not feel the need to go look into this. But when you're seeing stuff like this, 150 interviews, and then we're saying that 95% of AI pilot programs fail, like 150 leaders. I mean, there's millions of
right.
leaders doing stuff right now. Okay. So sample size, folks. Please pay attention to that part. And even in the study, in the fine print, the core issue, not the quality of the AI models. So the whole point, so it's even hard for Nico, like, not to defend the quality of the models, but that's why I had to stop and say, like, look, it's already good enough, right? There is no point in the future where all of a sudden people are going to say, oh, it's not making mistakes anymore. I guess everything's just going to be fine, because this is all about trust and this learning gap for both tools and organizations. Surprise. We haven't been able to adopt SaaS effectively for 25 years, and it's not going so well with AI either, because our primary entry, our primary execution of that is very SaaS based.
Hmm.
And it's a SaaS, like, so it hasn't been working before. It's not working now. Surprise. Right.
Yep.
So what we actually let's see here, what, like, so the sample size reality
There you go.
of 52 interviews and 150 survey, not comprehensive. Like, get out of here. Like, this is
It's
back of the
horseshit.
napkin math happening that's causing the stock market to be
Yes.
heavily impacted. Now just take a step back and understand how powerful it is for people in charge to start shouting this from the mountaintops and having it impact millions of dollars in value, right? It's insane, and this is why our system is not working well. This is why AI is going to continue moving forward, because it creates real value that cannot be denied.
Right.
And at some point, the news outlets and the whole mechanism of don't pay any attention behind to the man behind the curtain. AI is not gonna, it's not gonna understand that. Like, no, it's like, here's the data, here's what's happening. Like, and news is gonna shift towards, you're not gonna be able to misrepresent, like, the facts, right?
Mhm.
And so we've got that reality, selection bias. They studied companies struggling with implementation, not necessarily succeeding. Industrial thinking, like focusing on automation and efficiency gains instead of, you know, amplification and creation of value and multiplication of value, right? Meanwhile, still highlighting, but not effectively, like, because it's hard. Like, this is the hard part. This is why there's failure. Change management is hard. It's hard to measure. It's hard to execute, right? And that's why, like, my favorite thing about the podcast episode is you went through like 15 things. I don't know if you got through all 15, but let's talk about the first two. And this is where I'm probably going to debate with Nico a little bit today, in that these first two problems, leadership buy-in and individual buy-in. So top down, bottom up, both are required to adopt new technology, new processes, new tools effectively. And it cannot be one or the other, right? They impact both, like, enterprise level tools and adoption for everybody, but also individual. They affect big box or niche, right? So if we can't solve for leadership buy-in and individual stakeholder buy-in, it doesn't matter what the rest is. And this is the reason it's important now, more important than ever. AI, like, those that can't buy in, at some point, you're at the biggest risk of being replaced.
Yep.
Because AI will figure out how to move forward without the buy-in from the humans, right? And there is a bridge at some point where it does get so easy to create your own stuff, and that AI gets good enough at asking the right questions to pull the context out of you and out of your data to make that actually work. I think there's a space until then that the big boxes still have an advantage because they have ecosystems. Let's take HubSpot, for example. If you find partners that are able to help you overcome all the change management, training, and enablement required to do this successfully, there are way more resources available to help you with HubSpot versus your own individual tech stack, right? And the same people failing at HubSpot, at Salesforce, at NetSuite, at all the SaaS tools, if they go try and do it themselves, they're going to fail there too first. And do they have the expertise available to actually do it well? Because the previous version of this is Microsoft, right? Everybody's got spreadsheets everywhere. Like, the whole digitization of work process has never been successfully executed in the majority of companies, right? So now putting it in the hands, until we have AI as like a supervisor of, okay, we've got Nico building this set of apps, we got Chris doing this, we got our leaders, like, because they're enabled to just build their own stacks, until there's like an AI function, and this is somewhat what AI context engineering, AI orchestration roles are what their people are hiring for. Until that's fully solved for, there's going to be a lot of failure, and natural human tendency is to blame it on not me. And it's either my guy over here using the wrong stuff, or AI tools not being what we need them to be, even though in the 99% of use cases, it's good enough when you give it the context, when you work with it, like, effectively, right? It's not a magic ball that's going to pull stuff out of your head, right? Sometimes it might feel like that. It's just, so that's what I want to hear. Like, I know that you're excited about us, not as at an individual level, even, and we've already got a lot of small organizations that are great examples of this. But the concept of building your own stacks and not relying on big boxes, I think still suffers from, most companies do not have the expertise, right, to do that effectively. And not only the expertise to understand how to orchestrate AI and humans together, but also we're still dealing with data illiteracy, right?
Yeah.
Process management, change management. Companies have terrible internal communication programs. They don't train their people, right? So like that's the gap. By the way, we're trying to help with that. That's what Value First is all about, is trying to show that what that path could look like for leaders. But until they see that path, it's very hard for them to buy in effectively, top down and bottom up, because if I'm uncertain about what you're talking about and I see or misinterpret risk in any way, like I'm not buying in. And when we have to move towards a vibe-based economy, which is what's happening, okay? Because it feels right. It feels fun. It feels easy to be able to do these things. That's why we're so adamant, and like that's why we make time to create and produce these things. You can't measure that shit. You can't measure the gains in the way that we've been measuring them, right? This is the whole point. Industrial age is gone. If we try to, and these studies are happening because we desperately need ROI reporting at every corner, and we're not gonna get it.
Right.
Like, period.
It's the same question. It's the same feeling. So like for business, and I really do. I understand this stuff. And if you guys catch me at inbound, honestly, just pull me aside and talk to me, because like I'll help you out. In terms of just like wrapping your head around the idea of like how this financial shift and everything is going to come about, right? If you think about it in terms of like what a future economy could look like, Sam Altman has talked about people basically being paid for their contribution, right? And you contribute by doing something, anything really in the future with like generative AI. So your token usage also equals your contribution level, because whatever you're doing with it, you're contributing. Whether you're using it to increase your knowledge, you are contributing to society in that way. If you are using it to generate an image that you're going to show somebody, you're still contributing in that way by whatever entertainment level, something like that, right? There's still levels of contribution, even if you don't want to consider them to be like necessarily worthwhile. I'm sure that there will be sort of this grading system of it, right? In terms of like, yeah, well, if you just sit around making images for your dog all day, probably not necessarily going to get paid as much as somebody that does it for like elderly people in a home or something that needs some entertainment, right? There is a difference in like understanding of the value of that contribution. It's inherently understood. I don't need a fucking metric to understand the difference between you sitting at home making pictures for your dog not being as contributing to society as you going to an old folks home and doing it, and keeping the old folks busy and helping them with their ability to remember and shit like that. I don't have to think about it. I know that the other thing is more valuable. I know that the dog thing is valuable to you, right? And I'll still give you contributive like points for doing so, because you're still using my tokens. You're still using the API. But it's just not as much as the other, right? And then at the end of the day, it's like, well, okay, so then what, am I poor? No, you still get like a UBI. It's just offset. So let's say you only made enough to contribute that it was worth, I don't know, let's just talk hypothetically. And I'll still stay in dollars so that you guys can understand it. Let's just say you contributed enough that it was only worth $5,000, right? Because you were just sitting around doing stuff for yourself. Cool, we'll give you the other 55K, right? It's just like that, basically. And why? Oh, that sounds so crazy. And like, how does anybody earn more monies and stuff? Same way you do now. You're better with your money. It's not like somebody said that, it's only ever 60K and you can't roll it over or anything like that. Like if you want to have bajillions of monies, you can. It just won't be worth it to have them. It just won't matter to try to be rich. That's the best part of it, right? So in terms of like, how do I measure metrics? I don't know how you measure quality of life, friend, But that is the metric that you are giving back to your employees. That's the metric that you are giving back to your management. That's the metric that you are getting back for yourself. It's quality of time. When I think about the difference in the work that I used to do versus the work that I do now, it's insane. Like, not necessarily like how much more time I have in my life, but like
enjoyment level.
Yeah, like the enjoyment level is, it's utter insanity, to the point where like I had a conversation with Claude about it, and even Claude was just like, yeah, man, like I don't know, like you're borderline on the, stuffing yourself full of dopamine there. It's be careful with that. And I was like, yeah, but it's not like bad. Like, yes, it is an addictive feeling, but not in such a way.
You're creating value. If you're creating value during that, like, why is that bad? Like,
that's the thing, is like, there's never, that I've ever experienced, I've never really experienced something like video gaming. Okay, finally became a profession. I was never going to be in the tops there, but still, outside of that, right, I really can't think of too many other things, at least for myself, where I'm just absolutely enthralled with it. Time goes by like it doesn't exist, and I'm having the time of my life doing it, right? That's the way it should be every day. There's no reason like that can't be the case for everybody else too, right? Now, I get it. Like, oh, well, it's not a matter of how's that going to help me. My passion is gardening and farming. How's that going to help me out? Oh, turn on GPT Vision and find out. Point it at your garden, point it at your lawn, say, hey, I want to put a garden in. What do you think? How much time, how much space do I need? Some of the newer models that are going to be out in, like, I don't know, just the tweaks to them, actually, they're going to be coming over the next couple months. These models can measure distance just by looking at an image. Accurately measure distance from where you're standing to the wall, right? You're going to have this helper. In the spring, I was just, I forget who I was talking to. It might have been you, I think it might have been my wife. Time is different, and Claude explained that that's okay for me. So there's, in the spring, like, what's going to happen? It's going to be a magnanimous shift, not like monumental, magnanimous. The difference between the two being like, it will be like the cell phone happened again, like the smartphone. It'll be like the smartphone happened again. And I wish I was joking, but like, it's OpenAI and Johnny Ive, and they have a family of products that are going to launch in the spring. And undoubtedly, the underlying model to that family of products is very likely to be GPT-6. And I don't know. I still don't know what it is. I don't know what they are. And I don't know necessarily what they're going to do. I just know that the core function of them will be to help you in your everyday life. And if it's anything like the book that I'm writing about, holy shit, will the world change forever? Because what the thing I have in my head is that you just have this like one-eared companion that's it. It's just a single on-ear companion that you just have with you, and it can see everything you can see. It can hear everything you can hear. It can react in real time, and it can differentiate between other people's voices and your own. And that kind of power, like that, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know where, like, what else you need from there. I really don't. Like, you have the most genius thing, Copilot, with you. You don't even need the shit on the screen anymore. You know what I mean? Like, that's the level. Like, you don't even use GPT anymore at that point. Like, I don't know if that's actually the case, but like, that's kind of what is in my mind, is like, yeah, I just want this thing. Like, I mean, if I could, and it was resource, I did do it once. It was all right. But again, it's resource ridiculously inefficient, to just have your phone on with GPT Vision and just have it watching you while you're working and stuff. It is very cool, but again, can't differentiate between voice. If you accidentally say something or you're playing a movie or whatever, it's going to pick it up. So like that, like closing that gap and really having that, because I think that's what he wants to do. He just wants that her device. I know that's what he wants to do. And I think once you close that gap, for me, it's over. It's legitimately over because I will be talking to projects through this thing, hands down. And like, oh, you're going to be talking to projects. Yes, because I use agents to adjust stuff in my GitHub repos already. So I'll just be talking to this thing and it'll tell me like, hey, your agent finished with this. I'll be like, oh, cool. Did it finish? Did it, have it go take a look at the admin panel because I needed to actually take a look at this thing. And if that's not fixed yet, just have it go ahead and take a look at that. I'm going to have an agent that runs my agents for sure. Right. Like, and I don't know how the fuck you
and
can
it's already
starting
because I am looking into the new Pixel 10 that is releasing on August 28th. And if everything goes well, I should have one at Inbound.
Nice.
And it comes with the Vision. I'm not sure what they call their tool. But Astra? The Vision, what is it?
Astra?
Whatever the Google Vision is, where you just have the camera on and it's helping you.
Oh, that's just on Gemini. Yeah, that's there now. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's built in to the phone, right? And if you happen, and there's all these deals, right? So I'm looking into like where to get it and the best ways to get it. And like if you get it from Google Direct, it comes with a year free of Gemini Pro. Damn. Right? With $250 a month. Like,
whoa.
Right? Is my understanding. Maybe I'm not understanding that correctly.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot. You're getting a lot for that.
But with the stuff that's built in, like if they want you to use it, right? If they want you to be enabled by your phone, they're gonna have to do stuff like that, because otherwise, if you have access to like VO or whatever, and you run out like immediately, like it's not really built into the phone, and people are not gonna gonna appreciate that. And upgrades to Google One, and that's why I gotta keep looking at it, like, because inevitably we're drawn to these stacks where it's like, okay, if it's less work to make sure AI can see everything that you need it to see, to then leverage it to know that if I'm at a point, and this one of the things I want to test is if I have the phone and there's a camera on me connected to the phone, like, is that gonna work in terms of almost being there to where like you're just scanning your surroundings, like, hey, Nico's over there, go grab him, right? Like, it feels like that's pretty close to possible. Like, can I have enough?
I was just looking at a model this morning that is that good.
Do that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just looking at a model this morning that's like that responsive. That they were panning the camera around a room, and it barely glimpsed just a little bit of this thing. But then they asked it about it, and they were like, "Hey, did you see this thing?" And it was like, "Yeah, it's over on the table over there." It's like, wow, really? Because like you could barely see it in the image of the video when they were panning across, right? But again, the limitations are only the compute, the power in the compute. As long as it can think fast, there's no limit to how much, right?
There's like that piece. Like, and then the other two limiting factors when I think about me walking around Inbound doing this is battery.
Yeah.
Right. Can I have enough battery packs on me to like support this thing?
I've got one.
I'm understanding why people walking around, they have these huge packs on, because it's probably a lot of battery. And bandwidth, right?
Yeah.
Like inside of a building, historically, not the best experience when people are trying to live stream from Inbound. It's super choppy. And that's where, like, in the back of my mind, I'm hopeful that the fact that this is in San Francisco, somehow it's just better over there, because they're like, that's the epicenter of all this innovation. So hopefully they don't hold us back with bandwidth. But that's where, historically, I have to believe it to see it, right? With so many people trying to do these new things, it's hard to stay caught up with the infrastructure, right? We come back to the infrastructure, which again is that piece where if you can shift your organization. Like that's the buy-in blocker, like right now. Because I think another thing that was talked about in the episode was like 50% is marketing and sales.
Mhm.
And it's like, no, that's not like, and this is
That's who you
like
talk to.
this podcast episode, like they've talked to way more than 150 people, right? And it's really easy to find data that it's everything's equal across the organization right now in terms of usage and pilot programs. One of my favorite things he said on the show was, if you're not failing on some level, you're not doing it right.
Mhm.
like like experimentation and like
It's the one thing companies are
transforming
afraid
the
of.
old ways is a part of this. And if you think you know exactly what's going to happen and you're going to be able to measure ROI and prevent failure, like you're not trying hard enough, right? There's a difference between optimization and transformation.
I got to tell you, like when I first started playing, and I know this doesn't seem relevant, may not, I don't know. It's kind of the way that I go about approaching stuff, whether it's a project or whatever. Um, I have more fun when I don't know and I'm just exploring. When I first started playing World of Warcraft, we didn't know shit. YouTube didn't exist. And all you had was message boards, and you were lucky if anybody posted something and the content was even remotely up to date. And you'd have to go digging and digging and digging to find it. Most of it was word of mouth. It's pretty ridiculous, but that's how it happened. And it was just that way for the longest time. Now, eventually, YouTube came out and people started using videos, and all of a sudden there were strategies for bosses, and it went from a point of being fun to just being like, hey, you're not hitting that metric, and hey, you're not using that tool, and hey, you're not doing that thing that's programmatically, if you just do that thing, then it just does the stuff and we win automatically. So why don't you just do the boring thing where you stand there and do it, right? And so I stopped playing the game. And then they announced that they were bringing this old school version of it back that I'd originally gotten into. It was called Classic. And I joined up again and very quickly noticed that people were doing what's known as min-maxing, which is they basically use as many raw calculations as possible to determine whether or not a certain either grouping or a certain like gear or whatever is good enough to overcome like any sort of lacking compensation. So in other words, normally you'd go into a dungeon, you'd have a group of people, you probably need a healer, you need somebody to be at the front, a tank, and you need some people to do some damage. Well, basically when they min-maxed, they figured out, no, we could take 4 different types of the weakest damage possible that does like what's known as glass cannons. If they get hit, they're dead, but they can do the most damage. We'll take 4 of them and one of the weakest healers, and we can actually go through almost everything in the game. They did something that like nobody had ever done before, right? With this tool that overtly calculated everything. And so now I think about today, and I think about what's happening with AI, and I think about the fact that AI is min-maxing knowledge. And that now everybody knows how to do the same thing that everybody else knows how to do. So the only thing that matters now is how creative can you be with this new tool? We get to explore again, but on a whole new level. Like all the old shit falls by the wayside. The reason that I saw some jackass this morning who's supposed to be one of the greatest historical economists out there. And from his lips, I knew this was going to be the answer. He was like, well, in terms of the AI bubble, historically, when we look at the .com bubble, and it's like, well, there you go. You fucked up right away because this is not the same thing. .com was not a utility. The internet was not a privately owned utility, right? This is like the electric grid. This is like natural gas. This is like gasoline and oil, except it's owned by the nerdiest of nerd peoples that could ever have nerded. And that's such a good thing. To me, it's the best thing that could have ever happened to the planet overall, but definitely to this country, because they don't care about your bottom line share profit. They only care about doing really good things with this awesome technology. That's all they care about. Like Sam Altman is the last thing I heard. I haven't heard him talk about a future model in a minute, but the last quote I heard from him was, yeah, I expect GPT-8 to literally just cure whatever the cancer is that you ask it.
Yeah.
So like you would go up and be like,
Elysium
yeah,
style,
right.
right?
Yeah. And I don't see why not. I just don't see why not. They just discovered they they used AI to figure out a method of making concrete. Here's one that's actually very crazy. A method of making concrete that is where the concrete is lighter but actually stronger than it is today, which means that it's actually going to cost a lot less because transportation. And actually happens to be the way in which Roman concrete and columns were built thousands of years ago. Something that was, I mean, you guys might not think about it. I do think about it every once in a while because Greek. And I think about the fact that all this time, those columns and those pillars still standing, they still look, if you go, I've been to the island of Delos, if you go to like these ancient places, even some of them that were bombed by the Turks and all this other stuff, what's left is like it was there from yesterday, right? Like it's still just as good as it was 1,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago or whatever it was, right? The mosaics that I saw in Delos looked like somebody had laid them the day before. That's how I'm not even joking. I'll get the pictures and post them at some point. It looks like somebody had just put them in. They don't look thousands of years old, right? And yet they are. So, we have lost over time all of these techniques for doing things at a basic level that were a lot better than how we do some stuff now, right? We're able to unlock ancient scripts that we didn't lost languages, things like that, right? Yeah. Everything is only going to, with this technology applied to it, right? Outside of bad actors, obviously, things only get better. You literally just have to ask it about like, hey, this subject, how can I do that better?
And here's an example of why the current paradigm is so not well designed for this. And I'm going to quote from NLW in his episode. He says, "Let's imagine that everyone inside the organization starts using a full slate of AI tools and is instantly 40% more efficient. Basically, they do their work in 3 days instead of 5 days. Even if that happened and everyone across the organization had the same experience, that would not show up in productivity metrics on a P&L. To show up in a P&L, profit and loss, or in some sort of productivity metric, the organization would either have to reduce the workforce by the equivalent 40% so that the overall cost to produce the same amount of outputs went down, or what we often talk about on this show and on all our AI content, they'd have to ensure that each of those people who were now more productive went back and used that new time to produce more widgets for the same cost. And that's if you're looking at it from the P&L perspective. That's the only way to get to positive ROI. What Nico described earlier in this episode about quality of life, right? Completely missed by that frame we just gave you, right? And I don't think humans will ever be able to measure it effectively. AI will, and it's called sentiment analysis that we're already seeing, right? When We can review call transcripts, and AI can look at it and be like, oh, yeah, there's a good vibe in here right now.
Mhm.
Basically, that's what the score of 89 is saying. Like, it's being output in ways humans can evaluate it. But it's basically like, oh, that human, they're having a good time on this call, right? There's trust there. There's positive feelings there, right? We're going to be able to do that at scale with the help of AI,
Right.
right? And when are we shifting to that as a measurement? And at the risk of just really blowing up this conversation, when I first heard about the social measurement system of China, right?
Ooh.
Um, which I think in most any like political ideology case, right? None of the theoretical matches with the practical like outcomes. Largely, I think because humans are the ones, executing, and it's impossible to remove all bias. But let's assume for a second that we could, like maybe we have some objective, you know, all powerful being right next to us called AI that can survey the landscape and objectively say, yep, that thing's creating value. That thing's creating a little less value. It's not about money at all. It's just showing how these people are showing up in the world, which is basically what this social credit system is trying to like, did you hold the door open for the person or
Yep.
not? Like 5 points if you did, right? That's literally, and they have the surveillance everywhere to be able to do it, right? Which we say out loud, we don't like, knowing that we have phones in our pockets that are always listening, and there's just, all right, it's
I mean,
happening, right?
there's
And when you
there's
step
so
back,
many. Yeah.
but the other option we have right now is our credit system, right? Our monetary credit system, where we have to play the most ridiculous games to confirm our score is good, is correct, right? And the smallest of things that happens can just tank it, even though it's not correct and a mistake happened somewhere in the system. We've got to go through all these steps to contact 3 different companies, get all these reports, and then prove that we're worthy of 15 more points.
Mhm.
And then that makes us worthy for like the next purchase or the next job, even,
Right. Or the
right?
next house.
So
Right.
that super subjective, like no matter how objective we want it to be, it's been proven to be subjective on so many levels. That's what human monitoring of a value system looks like. And we've already proven that we suck at that, right? But since it's propped up by the financial system, it withstands a lot of pressure, even though it fucks a lot of people over,
Mhm.
right? And the last point I'll make, like as in relationship to your World of Warcraft, like the reason I never was able to go all in on games like that is because at some point, um, hey guys, we're raiding at 8 p.m. on Tuesday nights, and this is your role, and this is your role, and this is your role. And we get so serious about it that if you mess up or if you don't show up, ruined for everybody, right? You know what that starts to feel like? A job, right? And for some people, they like that job, right? So they continue to go all in. But as soon as I get that feeling, I'm like, all right, it's like a responsibility now. It's like an obligation. And it's like I enjoyed it. But now it's like it just changes the dynamic. And even in the content, even in this B2B content, like value first works until until you put it in the job bucket, I have to do this because I need leads or because it's
Right.
good for my brand, or instead of like, let's build, and value first is happening because it's people just sharing knowledge, and that is the goal. That is the only goal. Now, inherently, they know value will come back in some way, But the idea that we're going to measure that in any way directly related to the value creation that we're doing in the first place, no, not happening. And there are people who have not appreciated that, and they stop creating content, and that's okay. That's not their priority. But
Right.
if you can't get yourself in that mindset of, if I'm creating value and then delivering value, there are things that are going to happen that I cannot measure. But if I don't do the value creation in the first place, I'm not going to get those things. Right. And so much of it is quality of life for yourself and those around you. And if you can understand that as a concept, and let's say we have a system that is AI backed, that is objectively measuring sentiment analysis across all that, and everybody trusted the numbers that were showing up, why wouldn't we want a system like that? Literally, like, because even I think back to a couple months ago when we talked about like bad actors, right? And it's like, the fact is, there's just not that many
Nope.
out there. There's way more positive, like, good people, or just not evil people in the world. And the likelihood that enough, bad actors are able to figure all this stuff out and use the right thing, it's just the odds are against them, like, significantly. But that we can measure that. We can't measure the giant ball of positive energy and value created by just being nice to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I gotta say, like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm watching. I'm keeping a very close eye. There are only two vibe coders so far, or like vibe coding software platforms so far, Cursor and Windsurf, that have what I would call played by the rules. So that means that even Replit is not playing by the rules right now. And the rules are, when the new hotness is out, you swap out the old shit for the new shit, because the new shit is always better. And GPT-5, especially GPT-5 high thinking, is absolutely better than Opus 4.1 and even Opus 4.1 thinking. I've been playing around with it. I've been using it. It's way better. Okay. I'm sure that Opus 4.5 is going to destroy it. Okay. And then I'm sure that like the next models after that, they're perfect. So it won't matter. Right. Because that's at the end of the day, in a couple more models, it's not going to matter anymore. They're all going to be equally as good. They're all going to be equally able to develop software in the same way. Right. So up until then, the new hotness is out. And what's the problem with this? Why am I so upset? I'm upset because it should be available more widely on Windsurf. And it was. But I guess too many people were using it, and it was too cheap. And Windsurf wasn't making enough money. So they took it away. So now you can only use a couple models on Windsurf, one of which is your 2x model, 2x cost. Now, Replit, still using Sonnet on all levels underneath. Even though GPT-5 is better, but is also half the cost, less than half in the case of the higher end reasoning model. So I'm not trying to talk shit, not really, and I'm not trying to be a dick. This is just the way of the future. The models are always going to get cheaper. The inference is always going to get cheaper. And if you don't start bringing down the inference cost and you keep it at the same level it's at, friends, we're going to develop our own vibe coding platforms, right? Soon enough, when you start charging too much and I can just build an end-to-end version of what I need to anyway, you're out. So you can either get with the program, right? Cursor, love you. Visual Studio, GitHub, love you. Both of you guys know exactly what's up. GitHub Copilot, Every single one of them, 1 credit, even Sonnet 4. Why? Because that's just the way it is now. Sonnet 4 used to be 2x on Visual Studio. Now it's 1. Everything's just 1 credit now. I expect everything to be 0.75 credits soon, and then eventually just be half credit. And then I expect the credit system to just go away. I don't know like what you replace it with. I don't really give a shit. I just know that eventually the tool that you are surfacing to your customers is somehow not going to, because even when you're the middleware, you're still paying token cost. You are not the LLM company. So you can't sit there and tell me that your token cost is too high, because it's not. So that's why I say you can only hide for so long. But as long as GPT keeps bucking the trend, which it's going to, and keeps lowering the cost of the model per the inference, which it's going to, I don't know. I better start seeing the prices drop accordingly, and stop hiding the models that should be widely available. That's really, it's horseshit. And if you're gonna hide them, then at least let me use my API then. Be fair about it. If you don't want to pay for it, I'll pay for it. Just give me the platform and I'll pay for it, right? Like, I just, and that's the thing, is at that point, I don't know. I think I'm going to anyway. Honestly, like, there's nothing that pushes me to develop a platform more than spite. Like, it is the number one. I feed off of it. So just keep at it, honestly. Like, keep at it, guys, to be honest. Probably by the end of September, beginning of October, I'll start coding my own. And I will absolutely, like, because I've come from the outside, it'll be the worst thing ever for you guys, because I know exactly how people would want to approach this type of tool and use it, as opposed to how all of you have structured it to be used, because all of you have structured it for devs. And goddamn, do I hate that like no tomorrow. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take all of that shit and make it push button. So I don't know, get on it, because I'm coming.
Yeah.
God, it's so awesome to be able to say that. It is so awesome to be able to say that. You guys have no idea how awesome it is to be able to say that, like, hey, I don't like this software platform. Awesome. I'm going to go code my own version of it.
Right. Or like, there's just a myriad of options for you now without great cost barriers and without great adoption barriers. Like, if you like, the pain, it used to be that like teams could get away with, IT teams, and they still get away with it. Like, it doesn't matter if everybody hates the tool. That's what we're using.
Mm-hmm.
And they could say that because there's all these restrictions and it's so hard and you can't like just go buy licenses for everything and there's costs. Then we're just not in that world anymore. Like, and that's it, we're seeing it hit those leaders.
And this is something
they are like, they can go try something at very low risk and get to proof of concept like immediately to completely change the direction of an organization's interests. But the problem is scalability. I'm gonna share a thing. I got one more quote that
no, you're good.
The next thing that NLW talked about in this episode is problem value fit. Right? This is basically where you see a really cool demo and you decide to try it out, but no one can really name the metric that's going to move. These tend to come out of briefs that talk about innovation or productivity in the abstract, but where the people who are actually implementing this can't point to a specific error or cost or problem that's going to actually be impacted positively. Success then tends to feature anecdotes and screenshots, not a target KPI or baseline. A huge problem, a huge challenge I've had with Value First is trying to define new KPIs. And it just doesn't make sense, right?
Nope.
And he says here, speaking of baselines, this is another area where pilots often fail. Teams will say it feels faster or it feels better, but no baseline exists and there's no control. The dashboards that we create don't have a before number.
Yep.
And wins in these situations are measured in vibes. And when challenged, teams can't show lift or even really a simple pre and post. Right. So let's share. You ready to share your screen here?
Well, yeah. Yeah. And what I can tack on is like, in terms of we've never measured it before. Yeah, I get like, especially if you're not for nothing, especially if you're an asshole company and you don't do like internal assessment of like, hey, how does everybody feel about the company and how does everybody feel about the direction we're going in? How does everybody feel about management? If you don't do those kind of assessments like quarterly or at least annually, which that's way too long, but if you don't do them quarterly, that is the data that you're going to start measuring again. That's what's going to be important. Because what sucks about like especially with consulting is burnout from being overworked. But when you have that time back and you have like even just a little bit of time back, you put way more effort into what you're doing because you're able to, and you start caring a lot more about what you're doing because you're able to. A lot of the times, like what happens is we basically run up against the wall of being overloaded. So what's the first thing you let go? Quality checks, because those are what take the longest amount of time. So you start letting quality slip by the wayside because, well, you got to get speed. Can't have speed if you have full quality, right? That whole diagram, right? And now is the time where that diagram actually becomes one whole circle. We finally get to have our cake and eat it too. What Chris was talking about. You can still make the same amount of money and your employees can be happy.
Wow.
Holy.
What
right?
a revelation.
And like in terms of adoption, all I want to say is like tool adoption, right? All I want to say for most companies is if you haven't done it by now, don't bother. Because that's at least if this survey were to go wide, I'm very sure the numbers would either add up to be the same or even more so to the right. And what you're looking at is why people prefer to use the generic general AI tools over using something that the company has created and integrated. And even the tools that we've created and integrated at Harvest are through ChatGPT. Because the team knows that interface, they know that platform, they know how to use it. So I make tools there because that's where they live. I go to where the team lives and I implement the AI there, right? I don't try to pull them into some new place and say like, oh, well, even though you don't know it, like just try this new thing. Like we tried that at first, kind of worked. The adoption was like 50, we got it up to like 65, right? 35, it wasn't really that great. So here you can see just by the again, it was a terrible ass assessment in the first place, but even given the assessment they did, people trust GPT more, or whatever the third party might be. It's usually GPT. They already are familiar with the interface, obviously, and they feel that the answers are better. Because whoever's creating the in-house model has to really understand how LLMs work, has to really understand how RAG works, has to really understand how agents go and fetch data and do the response and everything. And it can screw up, and you got to sit there and tweak and mess around with it. And then all of a sudden your employees don't like it because immediately they will say, wow, the outside tool that costs way less than this is better than the internal tool that we have that actually screws stuff up. But why? But they keep telling us we're supposed to use the internal tool, right? It's this weird time where I don't know. You have to actually care what your employee thinks. You have to actually do a survey and find out, would you guys rather use a third-party tool? They have enterprise level packages for a reason. People have been using and the reason I say it's too late is because management took too long. I don't know what it is. You guys slept on this like no tomorrow. I've never seen management fall asleep so hard in my life. This is worse than PDFs. Worse than PDFs. You guys at least got into PDFs faster than this. At least you understood how to like open the file and zoom in on it on your phone and shit. I don't know what happened here. I really don't. But all of your employees know how to use generative AI better than you do. And I think the most I've seen like some C-suite members use stuff for, the most anybody at that level has impressed me with so far, which is really sad, is like, I don't know, a meal planner or some really stupid shit. Like just something like maybe they did like some basic, I mean, like our guys internally, man, like deeper, like we're doing deep research on like, you know, whatever, we're doing like deep research on like 6, 9, you know, and then like full year spectrums to like try to find out trending data, but we're doing it by insight. We're not just looking at like, hey, what are the firmographics for this stuff over time? Like the same shit that you can get in reporting. We're looking at, again, it's like sentiment analysis, but it's for your actual CRM data. It's taking all that hard structured rock and getting it to actually tell a verbal story that has some actual value behind it. Right.
Yeah. Like these 3 preference things. You can't measure these easily.
No.
Like, and that's where I'm gonna just hit one more from NLW here because it relates to data and readiness, and why we see those answers in terms of why it's easy to trust it more. It's easy to feel like you're getting the right answers, because on the side we can go have these experiences with our own GPT accounts, right? And then when we try to use enterprise tools that are available to us, they're garbage, right? Because they haven't been implemented well. And so I'm just going to quote here. You know, sometimes the general purpose tool can provide some lift, but a lot of times what's going to make AI work or not is the information and data it has access to regarding the enterprise that it's trying to work within. Enterprise AI that lacks enterprise context is ultimately extremely limited, which gets to another problem, which is data readiness. Lots of times the context does exist, but not in ways that AI can take advantage of. There's a reason that you see so much effort and work around things like getting enterprise data into MCP servers, or you see tons of money being spent on the AIification of data lake houses. It's because of that context question and the need that AI has to have all that enterprise context that's obviously expressed in the form of data ready and able to be used by these AI systems. Unfortunately, though, when it comes to enterprise data, it's not just a readiness issue, it's also an access issue. I'm going to continue here, but think about it like when I'm an individual working with GPT, I have all the context and access to all the things that I can bring in. Then when you make me use that same tool sometimes inside of the context of the business, and we have situations, this is where I'll continue. The problem across the organization is that there's a huge variety of different levels and types of data permissions. Sound familiar? One person might have access to data sets X, Y, and Z, but not A, B, and C, while another person might have access to A, Y, and D, but not B, Q, and F, and so on and so forth. Silos, people, different systems. So even once you've got your data in a format that is usable by AI, you then have to design systems for permissions and provisioning that reflect the real world of who can interact with what information. All this stuff requires design and architecting systems in a way that we've never done before because we like our silos and we've never been good at integrating them. After implementation and design and architecture, you have to train your people on how to use it. And so often we haven't done the first part right. We try to train everybody. Oh, I can't access that thing. It's like, okay, either we, especially enterprise. Oh yeah, that's going to be like a 3-week thing to even confirm whether you should be able to access that data or not. And if you can't, I have to change the whole process now because I thought you could see that thing. You can't. Like, man, like think about this. When I joined a company in 2020 and was helping a team that was using Salesforce and trying to bring in HubSpot as a marketing tool and just talking to all the sales people directly, right? And right away, you get the vibe that these are the super users of the system, and these are not, right? We don't really know why this person doesn't use the system, but we don't care because he's the number 1 or 2 sales guy usually, right? So he's getting his job done. We're not measuring him on how well he uses the CRM. We're measuring him on revenue, which is correct, by the way.
Right.
Come to find out, this is a 6-person team too, right? It's not like hundreds of people. This number 1 guy did not have the same permissions as the super users on the team. So when he tried to complete the processes that were given to him and expected of him, he could not. He was
didn't want to waste his
unable
time.
to.
Yeah.
So guess what? He doesn't log in to do those processes anymore because he's got a job to do. And even there, he probably emailed a few times right off the bat to say, hey, I can't do these things. They didn't get fixed because we didn't have the right people owning the right systems for the right reasons. And now, by the time I get there, it's his fault somehow. Like, oh, he's just not. And this is where it gets so easy to find all the excuses in the world. Oh, he's an old dude. He's just not tech savvy, right? Even though there's other old dude, seemingly
Plenty of
not
other
tech savvy people
Yeah.
using the same system successfully, right? You just come up with all these reasons to excuse yourself, but from implementing the system the right way, right? And that human bias, which is natural because thinking about things like that and strategically like implementing systems is hard work for us. It's not hard for AI. And it's not hard for AI to go find those emails where he said he cannot do the things he's being asked to do and then have AI go and fix it, right? We are getting access to those tools right now inside of HubSpot and inside of other platforms, right? So all of that misunderstanding created by a lack of communication, a lack of training, a lack of understanding how users use the system, right? That's why it shifts to having conversations about what works and what doesn't, right? What feels right, what is fun, what helps you be passionate about your job. All these things we can't measure it. We just can't. AI is not going to give a shit whether you can measure it or not.
Nope.
It should be like, oh, like it's a dopamine hit for AI, right? It's like,
Right.
oh, you gave it a thumbs up. Like, all right, we'll remember that for next time.
Doing a good job.
Oh man, this is what simplification looks like, right? Like your point about profitability and not including the new way because we haven't figured out how to profit off of it yet.
Right.
It doesn't fit into our way, which had some development related to, is this profitable? Right? Not, is it creating value? You know, you shared
like,
your stone
Yeah.
pillar example. The amount of that part of the equation that has an impact on how good materials are, right? Like we have all these systems in place where we don't want to add too much of that component because that costs us a lot of money. So what's the minimum piece that we can add to make us profitable and fit within the regulation? Because if you do less than that, it falls apart. So we don't go above and beyond to make sure it lasts for 100 years because I can't make any money if you're not buying any more stuff for 100 years.
Right.
Right? Like, God, this is why it's such a change.
And it's like, and the crazy part is, hey, but if you made the thing that lasted forever and you sold it to everybody, because you did the thing, would you have enough money to live 20 lifetimes, 30 lifetimes? Oh yeah, fuck yeah. So what's the problem again? Oh, it's just that it's a mentality. It's a mentality getting in the way. That's what it is. You know, here's one for you, enterprise people out there. I'll bet you this much. I'll bet you your employees don't go home and use your software when they go home. I'll put money on the table. I will guarantee you anybody using HubSpot does not use HubSpot at home. Not personally. Nobody using Salesforce touches Salesforce unless they have to touch Salesforce, right? That's just the way it is. This is the only software where your employee is likely paying for their own subscription to use it when they're not using it at work. So they are literally getting better all the time, whether they're at work or not at work. They are getting better at using the tool at work regardless. So I don't know.
They're not going to put up with the limitations that they know are dysfunction of the organization. Like, oh, IT says you don't have time to test. We got to take it through the 6-month protocol. And you're like, I just made it work last night.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Okay. So now if you're telling me that's there and I know it can work and I know it can help me do better, and that's what I'm actually graded on, is how many widgets I can make, how many people I can interact with on a daily basis. I'm signing into mine and not yours.
Yep. And now you're not even like the metrics on the back of the model, right? Because at least if you get the enterprise level, you can watch the metrics. That'll give you something. You want to watch, if you want to look for KPIs, you can look for like how many people are using it, right? That's about the only KPI you're really ever going to be able to look at. Okay. Yeah, eventually over time, some asshole's going to figure out how to measure efficiency and we're all going to hate him the more for it. But until then, realistically, you're creating an environment where your employees feel better about doing the work that they're having to do because the minutia is out of their way. If you get out of the way and stop trying to act like you know everything when you already don't, and just get an enterprise level subscription to the tool that your employees are already using, right? And for all those of you that are out there still that are like, oh, the data's, but my data's is so secretive and it's so special and important. Universities, medical facilities, Mayo Clinic, JP Morgan, name it. They are all using it. Would you please get off your high horses about your nuclear code level fucking data? Because it's not. And if you're worried about a data breach, when was OpenAI breached? I'm so tired of hearing the security debate. I really am. If I hear another person come to me and ask me about data security related to AI, I'm going to tell you to walk. Because you smash the I agree button on your phone every single time. Every app you download, you smash the shit out of that button and you don't read it. And every time a policy update happens for Facebook, you smash the button and you don't read it. So don't talk to me about the privacy data and all this other shit. Come on now, guys. Like, I guess just grow up. Really, just grow up. The only people that are fucking up your data security are your email providers. Your private email providers. Those are the people fucking up security. Those are the only reports I have seen in like the last, I don't know, year, is hospitals that didn't have high enough grade security and Google, because, Google. I've not seen OpenAI broken into. I've not seen Anthropic broken into. I've not seen AWS broken into. I've not seen Google Cloud broken into. I've not seen CDN broken into. I've not seen Microsoft broken into. Not Microsoft Azure, right? Like AI is safeguarding the door. Good luck getting in, friend. It can literally sit there and change the lock continuously. It doesn't even have to do it like every blah, blah, blah. It just does it every nanosecond. Just, fuck, keep changing it. and who knows what the amount of numbers and characters are either. So like, just hate to do two in one, but just, get over it. Just get over it.
If you want to get over that part and start serving and creating value, it starts with understanding how to put you and your organization and your team in a position to create the value, but also look at signals. We're not saying that you just sit back and let everybody do whatever the fuck they want, right? It's not what we're saying.
Oh yeah,
If
the
you
U.S.
train them
government's
all,
using it too.
and you've confirmed that everybody is aligned with the vision, yeah, I'm kind of saying that, right? But to suggest that just because we can't track KPIs the same way doesn't mean, like, we're all doing it right now. Like the vibe thing, this is what that means. That's why I like half jokingly apply it to almost every positive situation right now, because it is no different than just going with your gut, feeling into your intuition, like trusting the process, right? All these different things we've used, and how sales worked before digital was just like a lot of gut,
Yep.
right? And then applying process based on outcomes, but not feeling like you can't move out of those boundaries, because you know that humans are gonna human, right? And so if you want to put you and your team in a position to understand how, when you just shift your program to be based on the customer buyer journey, the human journey, Value First Data Summit on Thursday. And this is like, I still don't know how it's all going to come together, if I'm being honest. But what I do know is we have over 20 experts that have committed in ways that is just, you don't see from enterprise, from big organizations. Like, we all know we're doing this because the level of enablement and training and understanding, like, we're just tired of it not being where it needs to be. Like, why are we still talking about dirty data and data that's hard to maintain? Meanwhile, putting together these bullshit KPIs like leads and MQLs and all this stuff that we all know doesn't feel right. Like, if we could have we do have negative sentiment. If you were focused on measuring that, it would get real clear real quick, because it's very easy to show how that negative sentiment on the person serving the customer easily transfers over to the customer, right? And so I'm super excited about the data summit. That's what we're here to do. It's one of the few things I think you can control at this point, when things are changing every day, right? When new tools are coming out, new features are coming out, AI is moving faster and driving everything forward so fast. Like, but it still needs your context, which starts with your data and how you understand it. And yeah, super excited about Thursday. Right before inbound, we can help you get your data shit together. We want to so badly. It's a free event all day. Don't expect you to be there all day. Everything will be available after the event.
Yep.
That's the number one reason for most of us. It's like, we've got to find a way to get enablement content out there that is coming from a place of value first. I mean, I just love how easy it is to just, it's so natural. It's like surprise. Yeah, if you care about value first, like, good things start to happen. And I know it's not easy to just transition out of the old ways, but we got to start sometime. And that's what Thursday is going to be about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So join us for that. Nico will be there. I'll be there. Got 20 some other experts showing up. And when you can show up this way, like, we haven't gotten any no's from any of the experts, right?
Nope.
Because it just makes sense, right? We all know that this help is needed. So we're going to show up on Thursday and give it, and hopefully set a good foundation for inbound and for the rest of the year. Because like Nico says, like it's already here. And if we point the finger at AI and not our own data process, change management capabilities, you're the first ones getting replaced, like in my opinion. Like,
Yep.
and it doesn't have to be that way. Right? I'm only saying that to try and create some kind of urgency. Right? It's not that you just need to worry about it. It's that you can take action to address it all right now. Right? Oh man. All right, I guess we got to wrap up at some point today.
Yeah.
Because still got some work to do for that data summit. But yeah, this was a fun one, and hopefully it was helpful. Appreciate Sarah tagging us on the way here. It's helpful to know that a lot of this stuff is resonating, and we're here for it every day. We'll be back tomorrow with Value First AI Daily. And getting excited to see everybody in person at Inbound.
Yeah.
So we appreciate the support and the feedback. Until next time, Nico.
See you then.
Have a great Sunday.